This is Karen with newclevelandradio.net, and it is time for What in the World with Paul Seaburn. He's the guy in the blue shirt, and his sidekick, John DiNallo, who is rooting for the Browns. Yay!
Oh,
Oh yeah, training camp has started, and
Yeah.
looking forward to
eternal
hopefully a good season.
optimist.
Oh, I am the eternal
Hey,
optimist.
you know, hey, the Guardians are doing fairly well right now, so we got to be optimistic about the Browns. Don't give me that look. And the Dallas Wings are probably going to go into the playoffs. So, hey,
Oh,
we're
Good, all
doing
yeah,
right.
well.
Good
yeah,
news on the
yeah.
sports front then. Good. Good.
Okay. Did we get all this optimism out of the way now?
Sure.
For three teams that every year we cheer for and never get farther than two or three playoff rounds, or in the Browns case. Wait a minute. No. This is What in the World. Wait, this is you're not listening to sports radio here. Let me get everything out.
Good recovery, Paul. Good recovery.
There we
Yeah.
go. We get into the right universe here. This is What in the World. Everybody's straight. Oh, look at this. I'm all messed up. Everybody's favorite weird news show. Real news, sometimes strange, always funny. That's our motto. I am Paul Seaburn, your host, in your ear or in your face if you're watching us on YouTube, which we ask everybody to visit us on YouTube occasionally, at least, because we do have some photos that we like to show during the podcast, and it's always fun to take a look at those. That first voice you heard was the lovely and talented Karen Hale, our media mogul, New Cleveland at newclevelandradio.net, our producer and our co-host. Please go visit newclevelandradio.net. You find out how to download us, how for free. How to download all the other great podcasts that Karen has, and all that good stuff. And then the other voice in your ear is John DiNallo, our co-host and host of What in the World of Sports. Hey, John.
Hey, Paul. Hey, Karen.
Hey,
It's
John.
Tuesday and time for another great show.
That's right. And John, if you haven't figured it out by now, he has a Browns hat on, so he's getting into the training camp mood. I'm going to get him right out of that too, because I've got a ton, believe it or not, for a change, I have a ton of sports stories. So we've got some strange sports that might end up on John's segment one of these days. You never know, but I'm going to touch on them a little bit here. What else do I have? I'm going to defend the Loch Ness Monster. You know, I love the Loch Ness Monster. Somebody insulted the Loch Ness Monster last week, so I'm defending them. Whatever it might be. Bunch of strange collections. This, for some reason, the news this week was about people collecting strange things in large quantities. So we're going to learn about those. One of them I talked about on Facebook. That's the lady with the world record Winnie the Pooh collection. So just to get you all excited. Here, a couple of sports here, John. A Formula One tractor and a bowling stock car. So we're going to be talking about those.
Should be interesting.
Yeah. Fake horses that will make you rich. This could be our next business. Unusual runners, another sports story. In Death Valley and Washington, two different things are happening in those places. And it's tied to the running sports. So we'll find out about that. Bunch more odd news. We've got I got trivia this week, some interesting trivia stories based on the strange news. John's got another his own great sport for us this week, and I'll give you a hint. It's an update on a sport that we've talked about before that was a very popular, fun sport. So and then we play everybody's favorite weird news game, Bluff the co-host. So I think that's about it. I want to do a couple of shout outs. I want to do a shout out to Jay. I hear from Jay all the time. He's a big fan of the show, so I thought I'd say hi, Jay. And also to Brian down in West Virginia. John and I both know Brian from many years ago. We want to say hi to Brian. Thanks for all your input and feedback. And you are all welcome to give us input and feedback. You can contact me on Facebook. Karen's got ways to contact her on newclevelandradio.net. John doesn't want to hear from anybody, okay? He's saying he's living low. Well, he's going to let us deal with all of you. So Let's get right to it with with our first. Oh my! This is I titled it in my script a public service announcement here. This is a public service announcement for fans of the Loch Ness Monster. Um, my favorite monster because it contributes more to the economy of the city of Inverness, where the loch is, than any other monster in the world. So I salute you, Loch Ness Monster. Now, somebody's picking on him or her. In the past week, an unnamed tourist, they refused to give their name. They're a terrible thing. They got on a travel website. So they were visiting Loch Ness last week. They went onto the website TripAdvisor. Everybody's heard of TripAdvisor. It's like the Yelp of travel. And they gave the Loch Ness a 1-star rating. Why? They complained because they never saw the Loch Ness Monster while they were
Really?
for a week.
Wow.
Yeah, that was, yeah. This, I'm sorry. This sounds like somebody who didn't get their little chocolate mint on the pillow, and they didn't want to complain about the maid, so they're complaining about everything. It's like, geez. I've been to Rome. I never saw the Pope. That doesn't mean the Pope doesn't exist. Been to London, never saw the Queen or the King or any of those royal people. And that doesn't mean they don't exist. We live in Cleveland. We were just talking about this. I've never seen the Guardians win the World Series. That doesn't mean they don't exist.
Well, that's a good point. That's very good logic there.
That's right, John. That's what I'm here for. Logic. That's it. So, and now this is the other comment that this unnamed person made. I went for a swim in Loch Ness, and it was the wettest water I have ever encountered. And wettest water, yeah. My comment to that is, of course it's wet. It's because you were swimming in Loch Ness Monster pee, which makes the water wetter, right?
Oh.
Yeah.
I mean, so then they continue. This is a really irritated person. The man at the shop, so there's shops all over the place. Man at the shop told us that if we sat perfectly still on the bench, we were more likely to see him, but we didn't see a thing. Lots of people were in and out of the shop and were usually laughing quite loud, which could have scared him away. It wasn't you splashing in the water that scared him away, maybe. Even that guy in Ireland with the one that watches 24/7 to catch all the Loch Ness monsters.
Oh yeah, that's our friend.
He's upset about this. Yeah, he wants these people out of his viewfinder so he can go back to watching for the Loch Ness monster. So there's my public service announcement. Loch Ness Monster, if you're listening, you're welcome. We believe in you, or at least I do. So just keep doing what you do.
That's right.
Acting like a log. Okay, let's move on to all right. So here's our first sports story for the week. Really kind of a weirdish angle on sport. This comes from Belarus, over where all the fighting's going on. So this company, the Minsk, M-I-N-S-K, Minsk Tractor Company in Belarus, has unveiled a Formula One car built out of tractor parts. So I know you want to see this. So let's see if I can pull the photo up here. There we go. All right, take a look at that.
Wow.
So this is, it's for those of you who can't see it, it's a tractor in the loosest sense of the word. It does have big tractor tires and a big tractor front, and looks like maybe some kind of plowish device in the front of it. It says Belarus Tractors on the side. But it's really long. It's really, really much longer than a tractor would be, and much lower, I guess. So to look more like a racer. Would you say that, John?
I'd agree. Yes, absolutely.
Okay. This tractor, this Formula One tractor, made with tractor parts, can allegedly reach speeds of 198 miles per hour.
Wow.
Almost 200 miles per hour. Do you see a windshield down there? I'm not sure I want to be sitting on a tractor.
No, no windshield to my side here. Wow. Yeah.
Yeah. Blow your hat right off, John. That's what it would do.
It would.
But where do you sit on the tractor to drive it? How do you
Yeah.
actually see the front?
Good observation, Karen. You have to look really closely. I should have put a circle around it. There's a little tiny seat in the back.
Right.
I see it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you got to bend over to use the steering wheel. It's really an odd design, but they've got orders for them. A couple of ministers, from the government, were at this show where this was on display, and they were investigating on how they could get orders. I don't know what they're going to use it for, but they want them. Also Hollywood is interested in this. There's a couple of movies. Vin Diesel wants to do a remake of his big series of racing, and crime movies. Only this time he's going to use the tractor and call it the Fast and the Furrow Us.
Oh.
I won't say it again.
Okay.
Tom Cruise also wants to get one for a plow racing thriller called Days of Turn Under.
Oh.
Thunder. I never saw Days of Thunder to begin with, so
Okay.
I'm explaining it for myself and other people like me. So it's got all these tractor parts. It's got tractor exhaust, but to make it really authentic, what you have to do is, I know there's no windshield, so you just put it on the side. There's a little air freshener, cow-shaped air freshener that smells like manure, and that
Oh, geez.
add some atmosphere, so to speak, to make you feel like you're on a plow.
Wow.
Yeah, I know.
It says it all, Paul.
That's it. Let's move on. Okay, so this was from Australia. Whenever I say Australia, it usually means snakes, because that's the main animal in snakes, or in Australia, and it's always bad news. So of course, here's another one. I'll put a picture up. It's a very pretty looking snake here. This is called the desert whip snake, which is a brand new species, never before discovered until a few weeks ago. It is the latest venomous snake, and Australia has more venomous snakes than any other country or island in the world. Found in a remote desert in central Australia, but they say it's all over the place. There's so many. In fact, there's so many venomous snakes in Australia that if you tell somebody that you got bitten by a crocodile, they say, well, it could have been worse, because because a crocodile just takes a chunk of meat out of you. These things kill you.
Right.
So yeah. The lovely Donna and I had a trip to Australia many years ago, and we got to learn about the many beers of Australia and all the places, how much beer I thought they drank. It turns out it's all that beer is not just for drinking, it's for cleaning the wounds after you've been bitten by a snake.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Yep.
In fact, as the lovely Donna likes to remind me, there were 4 major beers in Australia, and one of them was VB. VB, it was short for Victoria Bitters. And, I never knew what that meant. Now I know. It's the name that people gave it when they had to waste their beer cleaning the snake bite instead of drinking it. Victoria, I'm bitter.
Okay.
Yeah, I guess you had to be there. So
that's all right. I think we got the joke, Paul. I think we got it.
Okay. All right. So now this is to another scary place. This time in the United States, Waffle House. This comes from Lynchburg, Virginia. Man in Lynchburg, Virginia walked into his local Waffle House, and every town has a Waffle House in the South, certainly. But he walks in at 3 o'clock in the morning. Now, anybody who's been to Waffle House at 3 o'clock in the morning knows it is bustling at that time of the day. There's never not a crowd at a Waffle House, except this time. The guy walks in. He says the lights are on. The place is completely empty. No waitresses, no customers, no cooks, no managers, nobody. So you know what that means. Next stop, the Twilight Zone. Yeah. Here's a picture of it. So here's a Waffle House, an actual Waffle House, 3 o'clock in the morning, completely deserted. no reason given. He said he left and reported it to Waffle House, and a couple hours later, the manager came back and he said there was nothing wrong, and he claimed that he was there the whole time. So it does sound like a Twilight Zone kind of thing.
Sure does.
So yeah,
Yeah.
Waffle House is the place, that's always open. The government, the FEMA, even uses it. They have an index called the Waffle House Index. If a Waffle House closes, that means you're in really bad shape.
Right. Absolutely.
It's the end of the world. Yeah. As opposed to the Taco Bell index. I don't know if you've heard about that one, but according to the law, Taco Bell is required to close anytime anyone in the place smells gas, which is pretty much every day. So,
Very good,
now,
Paul. Very good.
I didn't know this. John, have you been to a Waffle House lately?
I have not. I have not.
You have been to a Waffle House, yeah? Or have you? Have
Yes,
you
in
ever been
fact,
to a Waffle House?
interestingly enough, out in Arizona, when I used to go out to follow the Indians in spring training back in the 1980s, me and my
Yeah.
friends, the Waffle House would be a place to go at the end of the night to try to
Yeah,
get something
yeah.
to eat. But
Oh.
we were there, yeah.
Yeah, always a good place to go when you're in a bad mood and hungover. So I didn't realize this. It's been a long time since I've been in a Waffle House, but every Waffle House has a jukebox. Now I don't remember that, and it's pretty unusual in 2023 for places to have a jukebox. Um, the they also have a recording company where they record music. No, so not just popular music, but they have Waffle House oriented music that they play at the Waffle Houses. You can request it. Here's some of the titles. They're cooking up my order. Yeah, it's real song. Life is like a cup of coffee, and there are raisins in my toast, which apparently people are shocked to find out
Yeah.
in certain parts of the country. But the best known Waffle House artist by far, the Bacon Brothers. You heard of the Bacon Brothers, haven't you? Kevin Bacon and his brother,
Yeah.
whose name
Yeah.
no one
Yeah.
can
Sure.
remember.
Yep.
Yeah. So
Sure.
now I didn't know this. Waffle House, I should have honked my trivia horn here. Waffle House claims to be the world's largest seller of several things on its menu. Waffles, of course, ham, the largest restaurant, I guess, that sells ham, pork chops, grits, and T-bone steaks. They sell more T-bone steaks than any other restaurant chain in the world.
Wow.
Also claims they serve, 2% of all the eggs cooked in the United States are served at a Waffle House, according to their statistics. One more, they also have the most waitresses named Flo. So that's all right. So I'll ask Karen this one. Karen, when you were growing up, did you have a rocking horse?
No,
any
but my
of your
girlfriend
family?
did. Yeah, I
Your
did.
girlfriend. Okay. John, how about you? Do you have one?
Absolutely. And all of us, me and my siblings, we all rocked that horse almost to death, it seemed like.
Almost, that's okay. I have a picture of the this may have been the same kind of rocking horse that you were on. I'll show you one, the kind that I and my sisters had, but you don't see them that often anymore.
Nope.
Other than I saw a commercial last night, late night commercial, one of those lawyer commercials. Have you been injured by falling off of a rocking horse? Call me. I'll make them pay. So turns out that there's one for sale in Kent in England, and I've got a picture of this particular one. This is a very old rocking horse, as you can see.
Wow.
Yeah, that's old.
Yeah, it's haunted. According to the seller, she said she had to disclose it. It belonged to her great-great-great-grandfather, and his name was Dick Godden, and he was a well-known medium in England in the 1900s, I guess, or maybe 1800s. He used it to help summon the spirits. So she's got it for sale anywhere from $300 to $384. That's about the range she wants to sell it at. And here's the big thing. Besides the fact that her great-great-grandfather used it to communicate with spirit, she also claims that it moves from room to room all by itself. She says she is verified. It moves from room to room. So I'm thinking, John, this is perfect for your house. 300 bucks. You put a beer cooler on it, and it follows you around no matter where you go.
You're
Wow.
right, yeah. I wouldn't have to go to the refrigerator. I wouldn't have to go to
Yeah.
the fridge. Right.
There you don't have to get out of your chair. Hey, horsey, and boom, there it is.
Oh,
Wow.
So he said the spirit that the spirit that haunted the horse, whose name was Angela, a little girl named Angela, who was apparently, it was her horse, the first one. She wrote it, apparently, Angela wrote it, but the daughter, the girl who owns it now, hates it. And her daughter hates it. So she says her daughter wants a virtual horse, which I guess, that's what the kids are riding these days. Put your glasses on and pretend you're on a horse.
Yep.
sure.
Now, a little bit of rocking horse trivia. The rocking horse did not appear until the 17th century. I thought they were much older than that, but first rocking horses came about in the 17th century. More common in the 19th century as a children's toy, built by hobby woodcrafters. I think I've got a picture of a traditional style one here. Hey, well, John, was yours like that?
No, it was
That's
not. I remember,
Okay.
ours had like springs. It was
Yep.
like
Yep.
Oh, I got a
four
picture.
springs to it,
Don't
right?
worry. I'm gonna bring back memories. I've got a picture
right.
of the one with springs.
Sure,
This
sure.
is your traditional wooden one. If you go to Amish country in the Cleveland area where we all live, you'll
Mhm.
find Amish woodworkers making
Right.
these really nice.
Sure.
So, largest rocking horse ever made. I think maybe, do I have a photo of it here? Oh, largest
Oh, wow.
yeah, look at that. This was in China. So you can see they had to, they're on a stand. There's like 7 or 8 people on a stand on the back of the horse, which has got to be 30 some, 40 some feet high. I
Right.
don't know how long.
Can't
Yeah,
miss that
yeah.
one.
41 feet high, 41 feet by 14 feet long, or 26 feet long. That's how long it is. So, let's see. I've got, is this the horse? Oh, there you go. John, did yours
Yep.
look like that?
Yeah, that's the one that was very similar to that. Right, exactly.
Yeah. That's both myself and my sisters rode. Yeah, that's right. Rode it until it fell apart. This one looks like it's been well ridden, a little rusty. But I'm sure, it looks like it's in good enough shape that people can still ride it. Kids can still ride it. Now, the other thing that I know John liked to ride was those mechanical horses in front of the grocery store. Where you put, right? When we were kids, I think it was a dime. Then it got to be a quarter.
Right.
I thought this was really interesting. The guy who invented those horses, he originally used wooden horses as the horse you sat on, but they were too expensive and too uncomfortable. So he tried to make them out of aluminum. And what was his name? Otto Haas in Missouri, 1930. So he patented the first metal mechanical horses, and he sold it. He patented it. Was named the most original invention of the year in 1932. So that's how popular these things were. Let's see. I think I have. Yeah, there's a photo of one right
Yep.
there. The Palomino.
Oh, yeah.
That's a
Sure.
nice one. Yeah.
That's a nice looking
So,
one. Yeah.
yeah, he cut a deal in 1933 with a exhibit supply company to distribute these around the world, and he got a 5% cut on every one of them, plus whatever people put into the till. And when the patent ran out, he didn't care. He retired. He retired from the money he made on mechanical horses. So
Wow.
obviously, yeah, really good invention. In 1953, Billboard magazine called renting these things the fastest growing business of 1953. So, sign of the times. These things are still around. I didn't have a picture of a modern one, but this is interesting. So when we rode them when we were kids, you put your money in and it immediately started shaking.
Right.
And I'm going to call it shaking because it really didn't feel like you were riding a horse. It felt like you were on something going back and forth. Now, because of lawsuits, they have you put your money in and it waits, and then you hear a voice which says the horse is about to begin, and then it starts riding. Yeah, they give you a warning. Um, and they also before you get off, it stops and it tells you now you can get off. So this is why we're a nation of weenies. I'm sorry, this is it. Good old fashioned mechanical horses and good old fashioned horses that like on a spring like John and I used to ride. That's what we need. We fell off a lot of times, and look at us. We're in good shape.
If you go to
reasonably speaking,
if you go to Myers in Independence, they have one at the front of the store.
Oh, do they? Okay.
Yep.
No kidding. Wow.
Yep.
Myers is a fairly well-known grocery store
Yep.
chain in the Cleveland, across the Midwest, I would say. Wow, look for them there. But there was a rite of passage to ride those. So
we could just meet there on Saturday night and ride the horse.
Oh yeah, and then go to Waffle House. Yeah.
Yeah.
See if
it's all making sense now.
Oh yeah. Okay, John, you're responsible for. I don't think it takes quarters anymore. It probably takes credit cards. So
yeah,
it's probably a credit card. Yeah, that would be in order.
So now here's another sport for you, John. And I look to see this is a brand new sport. So this will be showing up on What in the World of Sports someday soon. So the first one, pro stock car driver Eric Alamola, that's his name, yeah. And a pro bowler by the name of Jason Belmont decided they wanted to set the world record for the fastest bold strike, out of a race car window. Very obscure Guinness World Record category there. So they went to this Charlotte Motor Speedway, very well-known speedway, and it's spinning around. So John, you can see that in this photo, there's a car, and there's also to the left a ball, and there's 12 pins. Yeah, 12 pins set. So they drove to a certain point, and the guy was hanging out the window and flung the ball. And here's the end result. The ball. Now I thought the pins would have been shattered.
Wow.
Wow.
Yeah. He got a strike.
He's probably got a lot of momentum. You would think that ball would have a lot of momentum with it, right? I mean.
Oh yeah. They were probably going 150 miles an hour, 140 miles an hour. That's what it says here. 140 miles an hour. And to make it feel more like real bowling, they were using a rented car. So like bowling shoes. Yeah.
There you go.
Doesn't this, John? This sounds like a sport that was invented by a couple of high school kids who got cut from the bowling team, and to take out their revenge or their frustration, they got in their buddy's car.
Well, sure.
Yeah. Doesn't that sound like it?
That sounds like just to prove a point that they shouldn't have been cut from the bowling team, and it's going to be like, so there you have it. This is the result. This is the consequence of us. Yeah.
That's right. Right. Okay. So now here's another sport. This one comes from Death Valley. So it's going to be an extreme sport. This guy's name is John Rice. And every year he runs a mile in Death Valley on what's close to the hottest day of the year, which this year is every day. But he goes there on the hottest day he can find. This year it was 128 degrees Fahrenheit. But he doesn't go there and run in shorts and a t-shirt. This is what he ran in this year. So there he is. Yeah, this is John Rice. So he's got running shoes on at least. But he also, for those of you who can't see it, he's wearing a balaclava, which is a thing over his head, thermal underwear, and a Darth Vader costume complete with a helmet and gloves.
Oh,
yeah. And
wow.
He ran a mile. I don't know how long it took him this year, but probably 10 or 15 minutes at least. He sweat so much. By the end of the race, they were calling him Annika Dry Walker. He had no sweat left.
Oh,
He's running with
Wow.
C-3PO. By the end of the race, he was C-3O. He had no P. He sweated all out.
Oh,
Isn't that insane? 128 degrees, dressed from
what's the
head to toe.
inspiration with the Darth Vader outfit, though? Paul, excuse me. What is the inspiration with the Darth Vader outfit? I don't get
I
it.
guess every year he tries to do something different. So
Okay.
this is
Well,
what he did.
he succeeded at that.
He's serious about this, John. According to the write-up, he trains during the year, so he actually trains to do this. He lives in Santa Fe, New Mexico, another hot place, and he works out in his home sauna, so to simulate being in
that heat.
Valley. Yeah, he works out in his home sauna. Of course, now he lives in Santa Fe. He just opened the window, and it's the same as being in a sauna.
Right.
Unfortunately
for us in the Cleveland area, we're getting close. I think it's going to be 90 tomorrow, but
right.
nothing like from other places. So he originally grew up in England, by the way, where the only time you sweat when you're running in England is if you had curry for dinner before you went out.
Oh, sure.
Or some jalapeno, some hot peppers. Yeah, that's it.
Very
yeah.
Yes. Well, yeah.
Okay. Another world record. This one is this is a collector. Okay, so I mentioned at the beginning that we had a number of unusual collectors on the show. Collection. This is Aaron Bartholomew, not Bartholomew, Bartholomew of Colfax, Iowa. He has he's attempting to set a Guinness World Record. I'll put a picture of him up here while I talk about him. So he wants to set a world record for the world's largest pencil collection. Believe it or not, this normal looking person has over 69,000 different pencils in his collection. 69,000, which are on display currently at a museum in Iowa. He set another record while he was setting up the display. He set another record at the museum when he explained to over 50 kids what a pencil was. We grew up on pencils. Pencils were part of our diet.
That's
we all
right.
chewed. Yeah. So now
the number two pencil, right?
Yeah. So get a load of this, everybody listening out there. He says he started his collection in the first grade when his first grade teacher gave everyone in the class pencils from antique stores and flea markets, which breaks my heart. He doesn't look that old, but they couldn't go to Walmart to buy pencils. He had to go to a flea market in antiques. They're not that old. His collection includes so then after he liked having the pencil so much, he started going out and stealing them. He didn't go out to buy them. He went out to steal pencils. So his original collection started by stealing pencils. This is obviously not the sharpest pencil in his family.
You're right. You got it.
Yeah.
Wait a minute. Was he ever arrested for stealing? Was he ever arrested? I mean, if he's admitted to this?
That's right. The penalty for stealing a pencil, John, is 5 minutes in jail.
I don't know. It's still someone's property and it's not his.
Yeah.
I know.
I don't know. Here's the question I have: are these pencils?
That's right. We are not. We're not promoting a life of crime here. So that makes the valid point.
Paul and Karen, I'm wondering: are these pencils unused pencils or are they used?
They look like
unused,
new.
Unused, yeah. They're brand new pencils.
Okay.
The collection includes. He says it goes back more than 100 years. It includes advertising pencils. You remember that we used to get pencils all the time from businesses with their name on it.
Sure.
Sports pencils from sports teams bearing the team's schedule, which is hard to write on a tiny pencil, and pencils designed for dial rotary phones, which is now something else that he has to explain to kids who come in what a dial phone is. For those of you watching us on YouTube, there you go. So this is an actual pencil dialing an actual dial phone. Karen and John, I know both of you have done that. So have I.
Oh, yes.
Many of our
Oh, yeah.
listeners can relate to that. Yeah. How about
Believe
that?
it or not, real quick, believe it or not, I do have in my possession, a white pencil that's never been used that had, I think, Cleveland Brown schedule from 1955 on it.
No
Wow.
kidding. Well, how many games would that be? 8 games?
Well, yeah, probably 8 games. Right.
Eight?
In
Oh,
fact,
okay.
it's
Oh,
on the
no.
other side of my
Ooh.
basement, but I don't want to try to dig it out. But you know, interesting
Well, no,
enough,
you don't want
yeah.
to do that because this guy he'll see it and he'll come over to your house and break in and steal it.
Oh, no, no.
He'll break
We
the
don't
law
want him.
again. He'll be a lawbreaker once again.
I'm telling you, put it in a safe, John, just to be careful.
Okay.
You take out your cell phone today and you come at it with a pencil, and it's gonna immediately say, Siri, call 911. They don't know what a pencil is, the phone. Yeah.
Right.
So it says
Won't know what it is.
most of the collection is number 2 pencils. John, you're the trivia guy. Do you know why they're called number 2 pencils?
Is it something to do with the lead content? Is that what it is? That's what I thought.
Yeah,
That's what I always thought. I don't know if that's or not.
Yeah, but I'm not even going to ask you the name of the person who came up with the numbering system because I had no idea and I was shocked when I found out about it. Henry David Thoreau from Walden Pond fame invented the numbering system. Yeah, number 1 through 4. Why did he do that? Because Henry David Thoreau's family owned a pencil factory and he worked there. And they
Really?
back in those days in the 1800s, most of the graphite came from England, and they couldn't, it was getting too expensive to import, so they started looking for American graphite. And American graphite was not as pure as the English graphite, so he invented a way to extract to filter out the impurities of graphite, and made 4 levels of hardness and darkness, which he labeled number 1, number 2, number 3, and number 4. So you can thank Henry David Thoreau.
Oh.
Yeah, I thought that was unbelievable.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
We're always learning something on the show.
There you go. New. That's right. If you don't, you're not paying attention. That's what we say. All right. So speaking of paying attention, okay, another Guinness World Record here, and this was a very popular story on Facebook this week. I mentioned Facebook, Meta, whatever you want to call it. It's not X, like what's his name, Elon Musk is doing.
Yeah. With no more bird.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, X. Yeah, it's I mentioned this on Facebook today. As a matter of fact, he's in trouble because he didn't check his trademarks, and the letter X, believe it or not, is trademarked by Microsoft. So
really?
Yeah. I didn't know you could trademark a letter. X is a good one, but I'm surprised that Microsoft. I would have thought that some porn producer would have trademarked X long before Microsoft. But then again, all this news comes out about Bill Gates and all of his quirks. So maybe he had something else in. Never mind. Okay, we're off on a tangent here.
Let's leave that alone. For right.
Yeah, that's a story we're working on for next week. So this lady, Deb Hoffman, of Waukesha, Wisconsin, has the Guinness World Record, which she has held since 2008, for the largest collection of Winnie the Pooh paraphernalia. And I use that term conclusively, I would say, I guess. She has dolls, she has paintings, she has jewelry, watches, costumes, clothing, all relating to Winnie the Pooh. 23,632 unique items scattered all throughout her house, floor to ceiling, wall to wall, covering the floor. Her family is concerned about her, that she might, it's a danger to live in a house like that. But of course, she just poo-poos them.
Oh, that was
Where's
good.
the horn in it, Paul? Get the horn out.
Well, yeah, right. So, you know, I was thinking, yeah, how did so many Winnie the Pooh items come into existence? Was it really that popular? Winnie the Pooh, the you know, I don't remember it from when I was a kid. Um, the origin was from England, if I'm not mistaken. The Christopher Robin, yeah, English author A.
Right.
Milne, was that his name? Um,
Yes.
he yeah, it was originally Winnie the Pooh with hyphens in it, and they dropped the hyphens coincidentally when Disney bought the rights to Winnie the Pooh, because Disney realized that it could sell 3 times as many T-shirts if it put Winnie on one, the on another one, and Pooh on which you
Ah,
can't do if it's hyphenated, right? So,
Sure.
yeah, it appeared in 1925. We're getting close to the 100th anniversary of the original story of Winnie the Pooh. It was appeared on Christmas Eve, 1925, based on a stuffed animal that Milne's son had, and whose name is Christopher Robin. And I bring that up um, because first to point out that this lady's collection is going to grow exponentially in 2025 because all this centennial Winnie the Pooh stuff is going to be coming out.
right.
Sure.
Yeah. So 1961, Walt Disney Company bought the rights to Winnie the Pooh and the film rights and television and all that other stuff from the family of Milne, and adopted the name Winnie the Pooh with no hyphens, and it's become one of their most successful franchises. Um, they the size of Pooh toys toys alone ranges from a little Beanie Baby size Tiggers and Eeyores and all those things, all the way to human-sized dolls, human-sized Winnie the Pooh. You don't
Really?
want to know what people do with human-sized Winnie the Pooh now.
No, I don't want to know today.
And John, I don't think you have any
Better lift on
Pooh stuff not in your collection.
No, I was not a Winnie the Pooh. No, I don't have any Winnie the Pooh paraphernalia or anything along that line at all.
No Winnie the Pooh bobblehead dolls or in a little Brown's helmet.
No, I could
Maybe.
say I'm honestly saying that. No Winnie the Pooh.
So I thought about this. I thought this is too scary for me, and then I realized that for one occasion I would like to have a life-size, human-sized Eeyore, the donkey. For those of you who aren't Winnie the Pooh fans, and I can't imagine that anybody listening doesn't at least know that Eeyore is the donkey. And the reason why I would like to have a human-sized Eeyore is so I could take it to bed with me and and hear the lovely Donna wake up in the middle of the night or like 5 o'clock in the morning and say, "Get your ass out of bed." And I can throw Eeyore out and sleep some more.
Oh, there you go. All right.
That's a good one. I like that.
Give me
Get
that one,
your
Paul.
ass out of bed.
There you are. Okay.
So not only is Disney making money, I'll do a little travel back in time for us here for many of our listeners, including some of the ones that we grew up with. Here's who else is making money on Winnie the Pooh. In 1970, a gentleman by the name of Kenny Loggins wrote a song. You know the name of this, Karen? You know the name of the song.
No, I don't.
Oh, House on Pooh Corner. House on Pooh Corner,
Okay.
originally recorded by the Nitty Gritty Dirt Band in 1970. It did so well. It was #1 worldwide. It did so well that now Kenny Loggins was only 17 years old when he wrote that song in 1970.
Wow.
It was so popular, he immediately formed a duo with Jim Messina. They became Loggins and Messina. And in 1971, they recorded the same song. You know, Christopher Robin, and you know the song. I'm not going to put it in your ear. And the reason why is because in 1971, I don't know if it got any Grammy awards, but it got the award for the biggest earworm of 1971.
Earworm.
Oh, it was played constantly. You remember those days, John? It was
Oh
played
yeah,
constantly,
yeah, sure,
constantly.
sure,
You could
sure.
go anywhere without hearing House on Pooh Corner. I mean,
Yep.
if you wanted to make it with your date or your girlfriend, you had to have it playing in the car, okay? Because
I
you
remember
know
hearing
that's
it in
it.
the car many times. Now that you bring that to my attention, that's right.
That's
That's
right.
right.
That's right. House on Pooh Corner. So Kenny Loggins later rewrote it as Return to Pooh Corner, and we re-released it in 1991 and sold millions more records as a result. Believe it or not, and I say this for the lovely Donna, so she's not mad about the other joke. There's, and I didn't see this, so we've been to Warsaw. There's a house in Warsaw, Poland, named after Winnie the Pooh. It's called, and I'm gonna read it here, Kubusia Puchatka Street, which is Polish for Winnie the Pooh. So there's your
Huh.
last little bit of trivia. Yeah, how about that? There's your last little bit of
Another
trivia.
teaching point, another teaching moment on what in the world.
There you go. You just you can't escape. Can't escape. Okay, let's bring this down for a minute here. And I think that I've run out of stories. I was having so much fun. I thought I had another one to go here. I guess I don't. So that means it's time for John DiNallo's What in the World of Sports. Hey, so John, every week for a regular listeners know, I asked John, who I've known since college. He knows more about sports than anybody that I know, certainly, and many other people too. He I ask him, John, find a sport for us that fits the theme of What in the World. Real sport, sometimes strange, always funny. John always manages to find a sport that meets that criteria. I also ask him to find a sport that maybe we could participate in. Doesn't always match that criteria. And, more often than not, that's right. More often than not, our insurance won't let us do these things. But
It will not cover us. It won't. Sorry, gang.
I think the sport that John had this week just might be one that we could participate in. So, John, why don't you explain your sport to us?
Sounds good, Paul. Thanks for the introduction. So our sport this week is toe wrestling. Now, before you say, hey, wait a minute, you've covered toe wrestling before, you're 100% correct. But today's story is an update on the current world toe wrestling champion. There is such an individual.
Wow.
His name is
toe wrestling champion. Okay.
His name is Ben Woodruff, and how he quote toed unquote the line and defeated a 17-time world champion.
Wow.
17-time world champion. Let me explain.
Okay, so this guy's good.
So here's a quick update. This wacky sport, which has rules similar to those of arm wrestling, was founded in, of all places, go figure, a pub. And that pub is in Wetton Derbies, England, and it was founded in 1974. This sport quickly gained worldwide interest when Ben & Jerry's Ice Cream Company bought the trademark in 2006. A match is simple. Two barefoot competitors lock toes on a, quote, toadium, unquote, as they try to pin their opponent's foot to a wooden plank. When the referee says toes away, the battle begins. It's a lot harder than it looks.
But I thought to go into a restaurant, you had to wear shoes and a shirt, and they're barefoot in a restaurant.
Well,
that's true. Yeah.
That's a good
point.
It's
a pub.
I'm not sure if that's a restaurant or someone's.
Loosely defined. But this was, it started in a pub, Karen. But it sounds like this is the World Toe Wrestling. You can see this is souvenirs from the World Toe Wrestling Championship, and that, by the way, is our champion right there on the right, Ben.
That's Ben Woodruff. Yes.
Yeah, I had a photo of him here with his trophy. So pretty big trophy. Also a foot.
Go figure. Go figure.
That's right. Okay, so John, tell us about toe wrestling. Bring us up to date.
So here's what Ben will tell you. These are all quotes by Ben. He says, you obviously have to have strong legs. and you also need to be strong-willed. And he said you can gain a lot of power in the sport from your core. Now, how did Woodruff become the world wrestling champ? He became enamored with it after his parents took him to watch a toe wrestling competition when he was only 14 years old. And then
I think this is a photo of him with his parents right here, if I'm not mistaken.
And he's been obsessed with the sport ever since.
Wow.
He goes on to say, I'm not the most athletic person around, so I thought to myself, what can I do sitting down? I wanted to do something unusual, and obviously he succeeded at that.
What can I do sitting down? That's my philosophy too.
What can I do sitting down to get some recognition? So he has spent the last 2 decades perfecting his technique to compete in the toe wrestling championships.
Wow.
He trains for competitions using a toe stretcher, which works out the ligaments between his toes. The grueling bouts can last up to 2 hours, and broken bones are part and parcel of the sport.
Wow.
So are fungal infections and even warts.
Too much information. Okay.
However, he wasn't getting to the big matches, and so he realized that his toenail was causing him problems and pushing into his skin.
Oh.
As a result, he had his toenails removed.
Ooh.
Then he adopted the name Toadal Destruction and went after the 17-time world champion. His name is Alan Nasty Nash. So, with an ending to the story here, all of that work and surgery.
This is a photo of Nasty Nash, by the way.
That's Nash right there, right? Exactly.
Yeah.
Now, all that work and surgery paid off for him earlier this year when Ben Toadal Destruction Woodruff beat the reigning world champ to claim the title.
Wow.
Now, Woodruff says
being 17-time world champ, by the way.
Yeah, so Nash, he had a lock on it for all those years.
Wow.
Now, Woodruff continues by saying, being the toe wrestling world champion feels like being an Olympian. He can now say that he's won a gold medal.
Which by definition,
gold
medal right there. Yeah.
Or he has. Now, so Ben Toadal Destruction Woodruff won the world championship and a gold medal. Even better, when he retires, he'll never have to worry about bending over to trim his toenails. Now, to me, that sounds like a Toadal victory to me.
Oh, wow. Toe wrestling.
Toe wrestling. So serious that he removes his toenails. And the end result is he beat this ugly guy right here.
Wow.
What's his name again?
Look, Alan Nasty Nash.
Nasty Nash. I like the exercises he's doing there. So, but he would scare me. You'd have to look at him while you're doing the toe wrestling. Just his looks alone would scare me. Isn't that amazing? Well, John,
looks like in the background. Looks like in the background there was some kind of like blow up foot or something saying the world.
Yeah, there is.
That's a blow up foot. Is that what that is?
Yep.
That's right.
World Toe Wrestling Championship.
Yep.
Oh my gosh.
This could have been right before he lost his title. He pretty nasty looking guy. I didn't even want to try and figure out what he's got tattooed on his chest. It's probably something.
Yeah, I think we can skip that.
Me either.
Well, yeah, I think what a great update to a sport that we had talked about once before, toe wrestling. I think the lovely Annette, John's wife, originally suggested that sport a while back. So John has since come in with an update. So great story there, John. Now, I said that we probably wouldn't participate in in most of these sports. We probably wouldn't participate in toe wrestling either, you might say. But John asked me not to reveal this but I'm not. It was too good of a story to pass up, so I'm going to reveal it. It turns out that last week when John found this story, he called me up and he says, "I want to do toe wrestling. I want to do toe wrestling live on the show, and you're going to be my opponent." So I said, "Okay." And John says, "But first we have to get our toenails removed." And I said, "No, I don't know about that, John." He says, "No, we have to do it." So I said, "Okay, if you go first, I'll go get my toenails removed." So we go to this clinic. Did you know they have clinics for toenail removal? You probably didn't know that. So we go to the toenail removal clinic. I think it's in Independence. I think, Karen, you said it's in Independence, Ohio. We go to the toe removal clinic. So John goes in first, and I hear this moaning and yelling and screaming. And John comes out, and here's what he looks like. So John decided that it was too painful to have his toenails removed, so he just had them painted. And
wow. Very nice.
Pretty nice. John, by the way, you've got pretty well developed legs there. But this is a photo of a man's feet with painted toenails. So of course, now I'm embarrassed. I thought, oh shit, I got to do something. So John makes a lot more money than I do, so I couldn't afford to have this done. So I went home and I tried to paint my nails myself, and this is what I came up with.
Oh God!
That's so good, Paul. Not so good. I'm sorry to say that.
Yeah, no, I don't think
my
so.
Gosh.
For those of you who can't see it, I think I got more toenail polish on my feet than anywhere near the nails.
You should have asked the wonderful Donna to do your nails.
I should have had her do that. That's right. But then she'd ask me to do it.
There you have it. Sure.
That's right. I saw that in Bull Durham, and
right.
end result, I'd have to become a catcher.
There you go. There you go.
All right, great sport, John. As always, thanks for What in World of Sports.
Sure.
Toe wrestling championships. Okay, we reached the end of What in World of Sports. That means it's time for everybody's favorite weird news game, Bluff the co-host. Real simple. I have 3 stories similar to the ones we've been talking about all afternoon. One big difference: those stories were all real, all authentic, true stories. In Bluff the co-host, they could be real, they could be a bluff. It's up to Karen, John, and those of you playing at home to decide if it's real or bluff. Wagering is allowed, so place your bets. John and Karen, hands on the buzzer. The theme this week is animals, so all 3 stories have to do with animals. Okay. First story: a fishing trip in New Mexico. Oh, you ready?
Yeah.
Okay. A fishing trip in New Mexico turned into 2 reasons for a man to get his car washed, but he wasn't sure where to find one to remove what his car was covered with. While on his way to a lake near Santa Fe, the fisherman suddenly encountered a huge swarm of lanternflies, so thick he could barely see where he was driving. When he finally emerged from the fly fog, he stopped and found his car caked with dead flies. Not wanting to miss some good fishing, he decided to continue on and get the car washed later. Unfortunately, while he was on the lake fishing, his parked car was discovered by toads crossing the road to spawn, and they proceeded to hop all over his car, eating the flies and dropping toad poo all over it. He returned in time to see the toads, and he managed to run over a few of them out of revenge. Then he drove to the nearest car wash, which charged him a premium for the special toad fly double wash with extra rinse and carnauba wax. Okay, so man in Santa Fe, New Mexico, driving to go fishing. His car is first covered with lanternflies, and then it's found by toads who proceed to eat the lanternflies and poop all over his car. Real or bluff? What do you say, Karen?
Well, it's so outrageous that I want to say it's true, but I'm going to say it's false.
Okay. So outrageous. I want to say it's true, but it's a bluff. All right. So Karen says it's a bluff. John, how about you?
This is a tough one, but I'm going to go on a limb on this one. I'm going to say it's true. Just from the standpoint, it's just so weird. It's got to be true.
So weird, it's got to be true. We've heard that before. Okay, and that's a philosophy that has worked plenty of time. All right, so John says it's true. Karen says it's a bluff. Let's check with the judges. And the judges say, congratulations, Karen. That is a bluff. Sorry,
Thank
John.
God. Okay.
Well, that's okay,
There are
Karen.
lantern
I
flies.
did
Yeah.
that one right. Was
Okay.
part of the story correct? Was part of the story true?
No.
Was it the lantern flies maybe? And it, but the toads didn't come?
Nope.
Okay.
No,
All right.
none of it's
Okay.
correct.
Right. Okay.
Sorry about
Better
that.
next time for me.
Okay. All right. Well, scores 1-0. We still got a ways to go here. 2 more questions. So John can come back real quickly. Another story on animals coming up right here. Story number 2. Runners and hikers at the Olympic National Park in Washington State have encountered an obstacle that no amount of training can prepare them for. Mountain goats addicted to human sweat. It turns out the goats were brought there from Alaska by hunters in the 1920s, but no one hunts them anymore. That means their population is growing, and there's not enough minerals to feed their need for their favorite food, salt. A few years ago, runners began reporting getting attacked by mountain goats who knocked them down and started licking their sweaty bodies until they could get away. It appears the word has spread among the goats, and the goats have gotten even braver. Now they're licking runners, hikers, and even people stopping to take a leak by a tree. Turns out urine is full of salt too. Park officials wish they could bring in a chupacabra, but regulations prohibit that. So they have to tranquilize the goats and airlift them by helicopter to a place where there are no sweaty runners. Okay, so story from Olympic National Park, Washington State, about goats chasing runners to lick their sweat. Real or bluff? What do you say, John? We'll start with you.
I'm going to say this is a bluff. I don't think goats are very people friendly, if I'm not mistaken. I don't think that goats, to an extent, would have an interest in being near people. So on that premise, I'm going to say it's false.
Okay, John says goats don't like people, so why would they lick their sweat? There's an answer. How about you, Karen? What do you say? Real or bluff?
Well, I have to let John know that there's something called goat yoga, and goats do yoga with people.
Oh,
Yeah, right. I
Yeah.
didn't know that. Wow.
No, but I
Wow.
still think it's a bluff because I don't think goat yoga would be a big thing if they were licking you and sucking the salt off your body. So I'm going to say that was a bluff.
I would pay to see that, but so Karen says it's a bluff. John says it's a bluff. Goats licking sweat off of runners. Let's check with the judges. The judges say, sorry, you're both wrong. That is a real story.
Oh my gosh. How can
Really?
that
Yeah,
be?
Olympic
Wait a minute.
National Park.
Time out.
Yep.
How can that be? That's insane.
There's so many of the. I know. The goats. Once the goats found out that sweat had salt in it, they became real pets, and they're friendly. So there's so many of them that they're becoming friendlier and more accustomed to people. So,
Wow.
I wouldn't if you're doing. Yeah, we should issue a warning if you're going to Washington and you're going to do goat yoga. Be careful.
Yeah, yeah.
All right, so score's still 1-0. Karen is in the lead. We've got our third animal story coming up right here. Hands on the buzzer. If you think you have a bad job, you haven't met an exotic animal expert in Florida who specializes in giving vasectomies to peacocks. Peafowl are a popular bird with many residents of Florida, but not in the numbers they've expanded to recently. Because it's illegal to hunt them in Florida, the Wildlife Commission has come up with a solution. They hire experienced trappers to catch the male peacocks and take them to the exotic animal expert in Miami-Dade County, who says he can perform hundreds of fast peacock vasectomies every week. The birds recover in 3 days and are then returned to their neighborhoods, where they go back to chasing pea hens without creating any more pea babies. Before you ask, he already has plenty of work and won't come to your state to do vasectomies on Canadian geese. Okay, So, story from Florida. So many peacocks that they're catching them and taking them to a man who knows how to give peacock vasectomies. Real or bluff? Karen is shaking her head, scratching her head, trying to come up with
Well,
some way to come up with an answer.
So I don't want to get political, but I don't think it would be allowed to do vasectomies on any type of living organism in Florida. So I'm going to say this is false.
Bluff, false. It's a bluff. Would be illegal to give anything in a vasectomy.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. We'll accept that answer and not go any further. John, what do you?
I'm going to have to say, I'm going to agree with Karen, because I also think that, I really never given this any thought, to be honest with you. But I can see from the ecosystem, from the ecological perspective, right? You can't upset the balance of nature in a lot of respects. So I'm going to say it's false also. I hope it's right. I hope we're right, Karen.
I do too.
Okay, John, you've been to Florida many times. Have you seen peacocks while you were down there?
Yes, absolutely. Yes.
Yeah, so they are all over the place. Okay.
Oh yeah, they are. Yeah, that's very true.
Let's check the tally board here. Karen and John both say that that story is a bluff. You can't vasectomize peacocks. Let's check with the judges, and the judges say, "Ha, yes, you can." That's a real story.
Wow.
Actually, a man,
really?
Exotic animal person. That's right. I don't know if he's a veterinarian, but he knows how to give peacock vasectomies, and that is his job. And there are so many, and you're right. It seems like it would be illegal, but they are an invasive species. They're not native to Florida, so that's the way they get around it.
Okay.
Yeah, peacock vasectomy. I don't know if
another
I would pay
teaching
that.
Yeah. Another teaching moment on what in the world. So at least
there you go.
something
You
out of
learn
it.
something else. You learn. Yes, I know. All of a sudden, it becomes a little cringeworthy here.
Congratulations, Karen.
There you go. All right. Well, congratulations. That's right. Congratulations to Karen. John, always a good sport. Karen is our winner of Bluff the Co-host this week. So good for you. John, of course, will be studying hard with his lovely wife all week with the flashcards, getting ready.
Get ready for next week. I got to come back. Right. Exactly.
Absolutely. You will.
All right. Okay. So we will be back next week on What in the World, everybody's favorite weird news show on newclevelandradio.net, everybody's favorite podcast platform. Please visit Karen Hale's platform. Check out our show. Click on it, find out how to download us, how to find us on YouTube. And then click on all the rest of her free podcasts. They're all free. They're all really interesting. By all means, check them out. So I want to thank Karen for that, for everything you do for our show. Thank John as well. John, our regular co-host, provider of sports and trivia, and all around good guy. Thank you, John.
You're welcome, Paul and Karen.
And as always, I want to thank all of our listeners, everybody out there listening, everybody out there while they're jogging, exercising, watching us on YouTube. We wouldn't do this if it weren't for you. Thank you for letting us into your ear or your eyeballs every week. Again, if you want to send us a message, I'm on Facebook. Send it to Karen on newclevelandradio.net. We'd love to hear from you. Even if we don't, we're glad that you joined us. So on that note, I think we will call it a week, and we will see you next Tuesday on What in the World.
And it will be August. How do you like that?
Ooh, right. It will be August. Get the calendar flipped over.
It sure does. Bye, everybody.
Okay.
Everybody.